get your point, William. I'll read it off here. If Florida State cannot get some transfers from someone like Georgia last year, besides Louisville, Arizona State, Oregon, this team will take a step backwards next year. Transfers from lower tier programs, no help. Okay. Before Logan jumps on this, let me give you my 2 cents. Is that, yeah, we know all you have to do is look at the recruiting rankings in the NFL draft and all that. We know where the best players in the country go, and we know what the distribution is. It's obvious. Fill in the blank: Georgia, LSU, Ohio State, wherever. But there are good football players everywhere. Again, look at an NFL draft. You will see players drafted from Kansas and Rutgers and Oregon State and the like. So there are, and then if you really look at a lot of the transfers that come in and help some of the top programs in the country, they're coming in from the FCS. They're coming in from all over. So there's a lot of FCS players playing in the NFL right now. So I wouldn't be quick to judge that every player that comes in has to be from Georgia or LSU or Oklahoma or Ohio State or somewhere like that. Even if you're going to places like Oregon, considering that a lower tier program, Oregon's a top 10 to 12 program in the country. Andrew Parchment, Kansas, worst Power 5 program in the country over the last 5 to 10 years. And he's going to sign an NFL contract. So let's not get too hung up on that. It's about, yes, it's about talent. It's about need. It's about fit.
Yeah. Now, then some of them I know aren't like we said earlier. They're not going to be pivotal starters day one. Yeah. But building depth wise, that's what Florida State is wanting to do. They got to do that at wide receiver room, no matter what. And two, there's some of these guys are 2-3 years that they have left in eligibility, which is huge for Florida State too. So you're almost bringing in a new recruit into your class, which is nice. So this is just the whole part of the new game that Florida State's having to get into with the transfer portal, and they've done a fantastic job. If there's anything that we can't say against Mike Norvell and what they've done is they've done a fantastic job in the transfer portal, and some of these guys being day one starters, Jamie Robinson, obviously Jermaine Johnson, Jashawn Corbin, guys coming in immediately and playing starting roles. Jarian Jones has played there. You know, he's been inconsistent here and there, but you know, there's been some really good transfers that Florida State has brought in, and I'll be interested to see what they do further in this transfer portal. I think there's going to be some more higher targets after bowl season. After bowl season ends and these meetings are done and finalized with these coaches and these guys hit the transfer portal, there's going to be some more things to pick from the crop that Florida State can do a really good job at, because they haven't built a really nice resume. And, you know, definitely with how Jared Versay, this defensive end, you know, he talked about it with Dustin, our lead writer and editor at NoleGameDay.com, and said that it was really a big key for him and learning stuff from Jermaine Johnson and Keir Thomas, both transfers from Georgia and also South Carolina. You know, that was huge for him learning. Really, that was the biggest thing. And what he took away from Florida State is really what they put out on the field and how well they did and what I could potentially bring to Florida State immediately. So the resumes have been built, just a little bit of patience. I know some of these guys aren't crazy, wildly, you know, talented, blah, blah, blah. But, you know, right now you're trying to build some depth, and there's going to be some more names that become available after this bowl season. Just little bit of patience.
As we talked about a few minutes ago, 15 signees in the early signing period. What do we expect that number to land on? What would be your guess?
Guess right now would probably be, since we're at 15 as of now, I would think 18 to 19. I think Florida State is going to want to add whatever, you know, more there. It's going to have to be linebacker. It's going to have to be defensive line, defensive end. Those are key areas that Florida State wants to build. They're not going to, recruit wise out of high school, they're not going to find a quarterback, but look at the transfer portal though, on that side of things. Cause I think they want to add a quarterback if they can to build some depth there, because right now, after losing Trevor Purdy, you're losing Mackenzie Milton. You just got Jordan Travis and Tate Rodemaker right now. And like we talked about earlier, Jordan Travis biggest thing really hindering him right now is staying healthy throughout, just a game, even throughout the season. But whenever he's fully healthy, it's a different animal. So look at the quarterback room that Florida State is going to have to try to find an answer to, a building depth behind Jordan Travis. And so, yeah, I think being 18, 19 is probably a good number to bet on.
I'm trying to think who else is out there because most of the quarterbacks have been snapped up, but Zach Calzada, Texas A&M, still out there. Shoot, I can't think of anybody else. Just about everybody else I can think of has found a team, but there's got to be a few other guys. Emory Jones, Florida, is out there. Those two guys with starting experience for big-time programs. There's got to be a few guys I'm not thinking of.
I know I had a name earlier and I just completely lost it. But the thing is, there's just so much stuff going on. I mean, there's so many guys that are going to hit the transfer portal, and some are just going to have to come back to their schools, which is kind of the wildness of the transfer portal now. It is absolutely wild.
Yeah, so our guy D-Rock Irish is telling us, I don't know where he got this number, but he got it right there, I guess, from the transfer portal Twitter site, that only 23% of athletes that have entered the transfer portal have found a new team.
That sounds about right. Guys are risking it too. They're risking it for a biscuit, and it'll be interesting to watch how these kids find a spot. I'm interested too to watch Purdy and figure out where he ends up going too, because I feel like he's a talented quarterback, and surprised he doesn't have so many offers unless they're secretly behind closed doors, and he's had a good amount of them. Surprised he hasn't had so many offers there. So that could be a whole nother conversation, but I'm interested to see Florida State. I'd love to have Purdy there come back, but I just don't see that happening.
There's this FCS quarterback from Incarnate Word, Cameron Ward. He gets a lot of attention. I would think that you want to get a capable quarterback regardless of the style. You're going for the best player for the most part, but I would think that you would try to match Jordan Travis's skill set to a certain extent, get a similar player. You're not going to match his skill set, but a similar player, just so you're not having to, you don't want Alex Hornibrook, who's a statue, I don't think, to be the backup for Jordan Travis, and you've got to change the offense and the play calling and revamp everything, and you can't even run the same offense during practice effectively.
Yeah, that's what sucked with Milton. I mean, he just couldn't be mobile. Yeah. I mean, that was just one thing that really hurt him, is you had to change the whole offense, like you said, Mark, and that's what hurt them in practices. It hurt them most certainly in games. I mean, once Jordan Travis was either hurt or even in the upcoming week and you knew Jordan Travis wasn't playing and Mackenzie Milton was there starting, they still were trying to run a hybrid offense of if still Jordan Travis was in there, but that just did not work with Mackenzie Milton. Obviously, we all saw that. So you'd like to have someone behind Jordan Travis that can maneuver that offense the same way that he can. Cameron Ward would be fantastic. I think he wants to go somewhere to start. I don't know. That's how it seems like most quarterbacks want to be. They want to go to they're leaving so they can get a spot to start somewhere, but he would be a really nice backup for Jordan Travis. I just don't know if that can happen. But it stinks. That's just kind of how it's just Florida State's got to find an answer there, because you can't just have Jordan Travis and Tate Rodemaker be your backup there and a walk-on. That's just not going to work.
No.
Florida State's got to find an answer there in a lot of ways. It's still a long off season ahead.
Yeah, the other time that it seems like this portal gets flooded, at least it did last year, and I got to think the same thing's going to happen this year, is right after spring practice, when guys can kind of size up where they stand, and it's not looking too good for them, or they don't like where they stack up at their position. And then we just saw it in April last year, just get flooded.
Yeah, no, that's what I'm saying. Usually definitely after bowl games, meetings will be held with players and coaches. And then definitely when you get into spring, where you're seeing where your name is on that depth chart when you get through that first week of practices, and then boom, they just start dropping like flies into that transfer portal. So we saw it with Florida State and what kind of additions they were able to add from that after spring. So we'll be keeping a close eye on that. It's gonna be fun. It's gonna be fun to watch.